You don't hear us
No, no, no.
say everything in moderation, or if you're moderate, or we never say that. What
Mm-hmm.
we say is 20 grams of carbs or less, like a broken record, to get on your nerves, because that's what you need. We say healthy oils, like a broken record.
Whole Foods,
We say whole foods.
like a broken record.
Hello, wellness warriors. Welcome to Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet, Pat Chat Edition. I'm Violet.
And I'm bad. So yeah, the idea for this video came from one of the video you published a couple weeks ago, where you said something that struck me, and you said like everything in moderation is not an excuse to eat anything you want. So you're right. Like even me and my family, when I was younger, my mom used to say that all the time. We often hear that for drinking. Like as long as it's in moderation, it's okay. Is it really the best way to live your life?
Well, if we use the example you just gave of drinking, I think that's a good one. So if it was true, we wouldn't have these other rules that say little children can't drink alcohol. I mean, like just right away, as soon as you realize that there's rules on certain things, then it tells you that it's not reality that we can do everything. There's certain things that we actually just shouldn't do, right? There's some substances that we should never touch,
Mm-hmm.
because if you touch them, right, you can put them
Yeah,
up here, and then for the rest of your time,
yeah.
you're chasing that substance. How many times have you in the comments had people saying this, or maybe even had friends telling you that, oh, once I start eating a cookie, I can never have one cookie, I always have to have four or six or eight. Like, it's like, oh, I can't just have one chip. Like, offer someone, you want a chip? It's like, no, 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 if I take one, I'm gonna have to take the whole bag.
The question I have is why in our society is it so clear for different things? Like I know we even by now that it's pretty sure we consider sugar a substance. Why is it clear in our head that some things we should not touch, and like food and sugary and drinking, like we could with moderation?
Because it's the speed at which the problem is shown.
Okay, the
When you
speed.
put
Okay.
something up here, or if you drink too much, the speed at which it's obvious that you've over consumed is there. You can have 3 drinks and have somebody on the floor. You can have, even for some people, as much as 1 drink and they're on the floor. Versus when you eat carby garbage, it takes years for your weight to move that first time. So think about this. We have little people that are this big running around us that eat more sugar than we do.
Mhm.
Why? Because it takes years for the problem to show itself. It's the same thing with achy joints, like I had. My achy joints started to show themselves when I was in my 20s, but I had been eating carbohydrates from probably around the time that I was 3 or 4 as well. Well, no, rice. Meh. I was eating carbohydrates from the time I was months old, actually, because I was eating rice. And I was eating oatmeal and cereals and all
Oh
that
yeah, the
stuff.
cereals. Yeah.
So I was eating carby garbage that caused my knee problems, and eventually my elbow problems, and eventually my back problems, and eventually my hip problem before I had it solved.
Mm.
But that started in my 20s. So the problem that, and why we say everything in moderation, even when it comes to sugar, is because we don't see the resulting issue until so far down the road.
Mm.
And by the time that the resulting issue is even showing itself, are we linking it back to, oh, it's the sugar that you're eating? Honestly, for the amount of creams and rubs and chiropractic appointments that I had to try to solve my pains everywhere all over me, and not one person ever said, well, if you just stop eating sugar, that those aches and pains would go away.
Yeah.
And yet, what happened when I stopped eating sugar? My aches and pains went away. It's ridiculous.
But it's even worse. Like than that. I remember going to see a doctor when I was overweight, and you're right. Like they tell you to stop eating sugar, but what they have in mind is just the added sugar. As like we often say that it's all carbohydrates that you should be eating in moderation, not just the dessert. So me going to see my doctor telling me, oh, you should be careful of what you're eating, means you should cut out some dessert. If you're not drinking diet soda, you should cut out that. That's a big problem. But they never talk about the 300 grams of other carbohydrates you eat, like in rice and cereal, in whole food and all grains.
I do remember when I went to my doctor as well, and they told me, oh, your weight's going up. You should probably stop eating junk food. That was the word. junk food.
Food.
So how many people consider rice junk food?
Mm.
Nobody that I know. How many people consider pasta junk food? Nobody that I know. How many people consider bread junk food? Nobody that I know. But those are the three things keeping us fat, not even just overweight. Fat. Rice, bread, and pasta. Oh, let's throw potatoes in there because there is that vegetable that keeps us fat. The doctor never told me you should stop eating bread. And the truth is, I can't lie. Was I eating junk food? Yes, I was. Did I stop eating junk food? Yes, I did. Did I lose weight? No, I did not.
We hear that also.
Or should I say, did I lose a significant amount of weight? Right? I probably lost 5 pounds and then gained it back because I was still eating rice and all the other garbage.
Yeah, that's the thing. You probably were still eating rice, but your approach was probably to cut down on the calories per day. So you were eating the same junk, but a little bit less.
I never actually did a diet. Diets are always something that I was against. So tracking calories was something that I didn't do.
Okay.
Right? I would track foods, but calories themselves, I tried not to do that because I didn't believe in diets. What I did do is I had a calculator and I would put my foods in it and I would try to make sure that everything that was going in there was healthy. Did I succeed at that all the time? No.
Probably not. Yeah, I remember in my app, it was the same. I was not necessarily like on a diet. I was trying to eliminate some sugary food, but I was putting food in my app, but always trying to create a deficit by either moving more. It was still hear it all the time: move more, eat less, and try to create a little calorie deficit in that sense. That
I
was
did do
my.
that. I did try to make sure there was always exercise every day in there somewhere. I did do that.
And did you lose?
No, I didn't lose. I guess I had nothing.
Oh,
Maybe 5 pounds, 10 pounds, and then I would put it back.
Just recently, we went to see a nutritionist for my boys. I have one boy that needs to lose a little bit of weight. He's a little bit overweight. She is one of the camp of everything in moderation. So the meal plan she did had a lot of carbs, a lot of bread, a lot of rice, fruits, vegetables.
You're saying everything in moderation. I'm just wondering, did she have cookies on there, or did she have ice cream, or anything that was in moderation?
No.
Okay.
That's the thing. Like in the meal plan, there's no like cookies recommended.
Okay.
Like it's
I just wanted to make sure.
one healthier dessert like yogurt or like a 150 calories dessert like once per day. But still, like I did find it was a lot of carbs in that meal plan. So
I guess on the everything in moderation piece, then I would still give her a pass because she didn't actually say he can have cookies once in a while, or she didn't say he could have a chocolate bar once in a while. Like it wasn't on there.
Although he has 2 cheat meals per week.
Oh, what's a cheat meal?
A cheat meal like a free pass, like what they called in French.
I know, but what did she say he could have in his cheat meal?
Like it's something that would like 2 cheat meals,
and he can have like 2 per week.
2 per week.
She just failed.
Yeah, I know.
So basically, you do good and then you erase, and then you do good and then you erase. So this is why everything in moderation doesn't work, because just pointing out, she didn't tell you what the cheat meal could be.
Yeah.
She didn't put a cap on how much carb or calorie or whatever the way she was measuring could be.
But I guess then it's like the judgments, like the parents' judgment to like
the parents' judgment should so I'm gonna follow you there. If the parents' judgment, then why would you even suggest a cheat meal, right? Like think about this for a second. Yeah. If you're saying up to you, then I wouldn't suggest a cheat meal at all. Not like if you work it. One of the things that frustrates me so much is that if I put in my plan cheat meals, I will have them. It's just the way it works. So wouldn't it be better for her to say, this is the meal plan, follow it, knowing that 90% of parents at some point are going to go, oh, pauvre toi, and give you something that you shouldn't have, even though you shouldn't have it. Rather than saying, hey, you can do this twice a week, where now we've just guaranteed that he's having it twice a week versus maybe once a month.
Yeah. What's the main problem with everything in moderation then? Because we hear that like before we go there, we hear that on keto too, like everything, like some stuff in moderation, right?
It depends on who you're talking,
yeah,
who you're listening to. You don't hear us say everything in moderation, or if you're moderate, or we never say that. What we say is 20 grams of carbs or less, like a broken record, to get on your nerves, because that's what you need. We say 20 grams of carbs or less. We say healthy oils, like a broken record.
Whole foods.
We say whole foods.
Like a broken record.
Right? We say these things. Why? Because that's really what you need to be healthy. In reality, do we see people who do well for a little bit doing lazy keto, dirty keto, cheaty keto, whatever you want to call it? Sure we do. Does it last? Wellness warriors, you put in all this energy, effort to try to lose weight, not the best reason. Be healthy, a great reason, right? To get your life back in order, and then turn around and go back to eating what you were eating before. And I feel like it happens because we have this idea that eating healthy isn't fun enough, good enough. I'm constantly saying it. Prioritize health over taste. Why do I say that all the time? Like a broken record. I say that all the time because when we learn to put health first and stop chasing fun foods, where will we get our fun? Somewhere else. Activities, people, right? Hobbies, music, movies, somewhere else. Let your plate be the thing that fuels your day. So when we talk about, when you ask me like, but what's the problem there? The problem is when you're looking for fun in your food, you're not eating for the right reason. And when you're saying, oh, but I'm being moderate, but are you really? Because is there a moderate amount of strychnine that you could have? There really isn't. And we need to start looking at overeating our carbohydrates as just as dangerous, because it might not kill you like that. It does it over time. And that's the worst way, because as it's doing it, what was happening to me? My elbows, my knees, my back, right? What was happening internally, right? I wasn't sleeping properly. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was tired. Like all this dumb stuff that was happening that didn't need to be happening to me yet. Like honestly, I hopefully have another 40, 50 years in me. But if you would have talked to me 3-4 years ago, did I look like someone that had 40, 50 years in? We are worth more than a cheat meal.
What I would say is, like, once you realize you're addicted to carbs, then like the everything in moderation is just a kind of a way to keep your addiction going. If you had a drinking problem, would drinking in moderation solve your issue? Or if you were chasing anything, whether it was gaming or video games, even, like, everything in moderation will not help you in that in any of those cases.
No, it's going to pull you in and make you want more, right? We are growing little people who think that it's okay to just now, this, I want. And they're not learning to do other things. They're not learning that you don't self-soothe all the time.
Well, aren't we to blame as parents a little bit in that case?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I say it all the time. That's why we don't force our kids to be keto, because we know we created this. What we're trying to do is teach them better. And we see, right? Like we keep saying it all the time. 2 out of the 3 always show us they get it, they understand, and they make better choices. We're working with the one right now.
But it's doable. Like, to be fair, the third one we're trying to help right now, he's making like tremendous progress, and he's actually thinking about his food, like just because we're keeping a log of what he's eating right now. Like, he's at his grandparent right now. Every meal I'm getting a picture to put in his log, and he's like all happy, and I can see like the plates have 1 slice of bread instead of 2, 2 pieces of banana instead of 1 banana.
What I like about that is, again, we try to encourage responsibility, and he's sending you the pictures from his phone. He was explained what he's supposed to do, and he's doing it, right? And it's the same that the other 2 are doing. So one of the things when you're talking about, like, everything in moderation, and we as parents need to stop teaching that lie, right? We need to help people to understand that there are certain things that you either know that you shouldn't be doing it or you don't, right? I mean, and I always bring this up as the example because I think it's so obvious, but is there really a moderate amount of cheating you can do on your spouse? Like, it's the obvious example. Then the answer is no, cheating's wrong. Why am I trying to cheat on myself with my food, right? Eating things that I know are not good for me because, well, I'm being wellness warriors, no.
So it's pretty clear, I think, by now, that we think that everything in moderation is probably not the best way of living your food life, or everything else life for that matter. We replace it with what?
I actually feel like the answer is so obvious. Make healthy choices. When I'm faced with foods, the first question is, am I hungry? Second question is, If the answer is yes, is this a meal? Like, that's the choice that I make every time. Now, am I going to tell you that that's the choice you have to make? You might not make that choice exactly. You might more look at it and say, okay, am I hungry? Is this healthy to eat? Because for me, healthy is eating a meal. My body's asking for fuel and building blocks. I give it fuel and building blocks. Even if you're going to choose a snack, it still should be fuel and building blocks. Am I having the chocolate bar, or am I having a piece of cheese? Okay. Right. But I think the question is always healthy. If you're talking about, you said in all places in life, relationship, how will this impact my relationship with you? Talking about work, how will this impact my results at work? You're talking about
Gaming.
how will this impact my sleep? How will it impact my attention span? How will it impact, right? Like, honestly, I feel like for most of the things, if we would actually look at whatever it is we're trying to be moderate on and say, just honest answer, how is this affecting my health? We would make different decisions. So ask that question. So there's a video on the screen right now about managing your carb cravings. I really think you guys should check that out. Wellness Stories, I'm so happy that you guys always come back, and everybody who's new, welcome.
Please, if you don't mind, share the video to as many friends as possible. That's going to help them. And like and subscribe and ring the bell.
I want to thank you for watching Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet, Pat Chat Edition.
Talk to you next week.
Can't wait to talk to you again next week.